sometime today, we're going to have to sort of rummage through all the lights we've found, make sure they're working, and clean them up a little bit. Take some kind of inventory and see what's available for the lighting designer. She's trying to, Abby, she's trying to hang a real nice wash to make the shop look like a well-lit storefront, a well-lit store, but still have a little bit of light for effect, particularly a couple little dramatic places in the scene. We do think this is a show where there's not going to be a whole lot of fancy light tricks. As far as I know, there won't be any magical color changes or mood changing, but we want to establish the time of day. There are two scenes at different times of day, and we want to draw attention to certain parts of the set at different times, and you do that with light.
This pink stuff is gaff tape. It's like duct tape, but it doesn't leave a sticky residue, and I think it's somewhat stronger. And what's labeled on the other end is I've broken the stage up into 6 sections, lettered by the alphabet, and each section has 2 lights pointing at it, a warm light and a cool light. So since I have to cable as I go along to avoid unnecessary ladder movement and just a lot of extra work, to keep track of which cable is which, because as you can see, we're already starting to develop a big mess of cables down here. Not double labeled, actually, I don't think.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's 11, not 1. If that's 11 and not 1, then right.
My suggestion is, though, unpatch everything, untangle everything, and then what you can do is go into a unit, test, find out what it really is.
See, this is the problem with the manual patch. What do I believe? Is this 7? Or is it 2? 7 or 2? 7 or 2? I don't know. Clearly nobody's done this for a few shows. The first job for any light designer is to ensure that your actors can be seen. If your actors can't be seen, you're not doing your job. Any sort of special effect that you've got going is very much secondary to vision. Picking out colors for this show, we want to go with something normal. This is not a major, Broadway sing and dance production with lots of weird side lights streaming in and bizarre gels and colors and gobos. We just want, a nice even wash for the actors so that they can be seen so that the light isn't distracting. This is not a show where I want to call attention to the lights. Maybe short 1 or 2 Fresnels with what I have in mind. I'm not really sure yet because some of it depends on how the front light works out and how much top light I need. Because what I was thinking, talking over Zach, is 3 downstage sections, 3 upstage sections, 2 lights at each section, just your general wash.
Right.
And
that's 12 right there.
That's 12 right there, right. And it's just, the audience is so close. There's no real need to pop them out like you would need in a musical.
This is true, yeah.
The top light is mostly for the purpose of getting rid of weird shadows, because I don't know what my front light's going to do to the set necessarily.
And also, if you put too much top light, the floor will be so bright.
Right.
And the audience it's not like other theaters. This audience is looking at the floor.
Normally, I know, in terms of, I guess,
back here.
specials,
yeah.
There's the backdrop back here, and Zach had a really good idea, I thought, of to help with the scene changes and time of day changes, if put 2 Fresnels on each side that can light this a different color.
This area.
The backdrop, change the color to indicate time of day.
I think that's a great idea.
And then the window special that we were talking about with the 2 ellipsoidals, which I'm really just not sure how to do.
A shadow? Yeah.
The shadow, because I can't see us.
If this is a window.
Yeah, I can't see us being able to shoot light through there.
Yeah, but you can shoot it from over there.
Yeah, I could, but I think it would look a little weird in a small space. The audience
But
is going to be able to
you can just
clearly
get a shutter. I think it's doable. We're going to have to experiment.
I don't know if I could make a small boom for light brightness, so I'm going to have to use that pipe.
Which they used, and clearly they depend on that pipe a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, there's the chair special.
Right, and we think this is where the chair actually goes, but I'm not certain, and they may move it. So this is going to be fun. And there we go.
That's fine.
Okay, so it looks like obviously we'll hide this cord from the audience, and it almost looks like this was designed to hide these lights. Something like
See,
that.
that looks fine to me. Yay! I win!
It's so cool when creative people agree, because when they disagree, there's hell to pay.
One thing that I'm doing here that I'd rather not do. A tough one. I would rather not wear makeup. What's it like to be on TV? I would have to say that I am not enjoying the television aspect of this show particularly. I find that it's interfering a bit to have to move around so that the TV cameras can get a good shot, and it's a little obnoxious. I don't enjoy going out in public and being tailed by a camera. It's intrusive. It's a little embarrassing. And I feel silly because I'm not a celebrity. I've done nothing particularly noteworthy, and people treat you oddly. They give you free food at diners. I'd have to say in terms of lighting, this is probably the smoothest show I've ever done, me personally designing or me participating in. A lot of that has to do with the venue. It's such a small theater. I could mess it up, but that would take more effort than actually making it look right. I've never actually gotten a show up, me personally, designing the show. I've never gotten one up on time. But I did. I'm done. As we sit here talking, I just finished about 10 minutes ago, and I don't think I have to touch them again. One thing I would say is that I'm very tired of being condescended to by the director, and to a certain extent, I guess the members of the cast we haven't really discussed anything with or talked that much, but I'm getting aggravated with being referred to as children. Kids, come get the pizza. Oh, okay. I designed the lights for this show. I put them up. I got them ready on time. There were no significant problems with the tech rehearsal last night. And I'm not just like the neighborhood, waif who wandered in and asked if she could, help out with the theater and doesn't know which end to point the screw gun. It wouldn't hurt her to refer to me by my first name.
I can't complain about the people here. They're nice enough, and I'm sure they mean well. But when they refer to us as the children, such as, are the children getting tired, and let's buy lunch for the children, and I'm so proud of the work the children are doing, it drives me crazy.
Let's get the carpenters up here and knock some sense into this set. What we're trying to do is guarantee that these two flats are lined up perfectly straight. If we don't, the audience will see the seam no matter what we do. So the closest we can get these, so much the better. And you think it'd drop in perfectly, but there's always a teeny variation. Go! That's pretty smooth. We're going to cover this later and then paint it. Once it's painted, it should be almost seamless.
So what Otto's doing is ripping the muslin, and I'm going to be her supervisor.
There's no one who has time to help me.
This is for the paler color. This is for the painted wainscot, which will be darker. One more? And then you just go whoosh. And you remember the star brush and the see-through. We're back and we're about to hit the graining on the lower part of our flats. Kevin and Otto are going to show you how to use the graining tools. We have the T-square here to try to keep everything straight. Once we pull these down nice and straight, our gray painted flat will turn into painted wainscoting. It's kind of fun to watch. Here we go.
So as you can see, we've already gotten down a base coat, and we're going to go over it with an overcoat of a slightly different color. And
Rapidly.
Right. The effect is going to be pulling off some of the overcoat, really most of it, with the wood graining tool. So it looks like the wood underneath has been painted several times, and you really have to hunt to find lines of wood.
It's going to be dry by the time you're done. You can slap that on a lot faster.
Well, I can do sections at a time if you'd rather
Right.
I do that. Okay. So that looks like enough to do it maybe 4 times. You can grab the T-square.
That should happen.
Okay, so the wood graining tool looks like this to start with. And to achieve the effect of wood grain, you drag it slowly while rocking it sort of back and forth. So it makes kind of oval wood grain shapes.
Yeah, sort of the paint spill line.
Really, I've just been doing little painting jobs, and we're working on the wainscoting, which turned out a little more subtle than we had bargained for, but that's okay. I have a base coat on here that's already dried, and we painted a second overcoat over it. And what we're doing now with the wood graining tool is scraping off a bit of the overcoat to expose the gray underneath. And that's going to give the impression of something called wainscoting, which is like the strips of wood paneling.
I heard the director was getting a little nervous about the fact that the set isn't up. Today we're just finishing up last minute things. We're finally getting into detail, which is really exciting because I love detail.
Jesse, I got to tell you, that doesn't look very strong. What's this thing supposed to hold up?
The backdrop?
The painted curtain.
Yeah.
So it's not holding up a lot of weight.
Right.
I'd feel a lot better if we get some more strength under here. Let's add a few more sticks, and we'll brace them to something strong. And we got to remember, this needs a little bit of bracing too. So by the time we hit dinner, this should be pretty rigid. Okay?
Okay.
I came back and we tried to finish up the drop, which didn't really happen, but we moved it upstairs, and it looked kind of like we were doing that whole Chinese dragon parade type thing with the giant piece of canvas.
Okay. All right. And right up there is good for the moment. And we're going to start the time Kevin's in right there.
So we're tying the same sort of reef or square knot that Mr. Davies taught us on the Constellation because we want our drop to stay up. But because we don't want the drop to stay up forever, we're tying a bow version of it. So at the end of the show, it can come off pretty easily.
Katie! Hey, Katie! Oh, what's up? How are you? Good.
When did you get here?
I've just been so busy all summer, but I decided to come help out. My first show was West Side Story, and that was the one I enjoyed the most. Kind of strange, because everyone else knows what's going on and what happens in the play.
Otto thinks it looks a little cartoonish, and I will have to admit that I will agree with her. It looks a little cartoonish, but it works.
I like the idea of the Waldman Hats set where a shelf is a shelf, cabinet is a cabinet, walls are walls, windows are windows, so on and so forth. Painted drops I've never particularly found to be as realistic. I like the show. It's well written. I think the lights look good. We just finished some focusing to get the downstage better. During the rehearsal last night, I noticed that downstage was a little dark whenever the actors go down there.
One of the great tricks in scenic painting is to not paint everything. You're going to watch Piper and Otto, Kevin, and the rest of the painters sort of halfway paint things. It's called the starved brush technique, and we're going to demonstrate it right now.
Okay.
All right, Piper, we're sure this is the top, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay, right along the top. Right up against the top. One quick technique is called the starved brush technique.
And first I'll do it wrong, and then I'll try to do it right and show you the difference on this scrap piece. We'll try to do it right on the real thing, see what it looks like. Let me get loaded up here. When you first load up a brush that's full of paint, you can really slap it on thick. Great, except that's not what we're looking for. We want a brush that's actually almost empty. And we want to come in and brush 1 or 2 strokes right along the edge of our tape. That way, when we peel the tape, we get a variegated look and still get a nice solid line. So we're going to throw our scrap piece away, and we're going to try it for real right here. Now here's the trick. When you dip your brush in, it's got way too much paint on it.
Right.
So you wipe it off, wipe it off, wipe it off, wipe it off, wipe it off. Paint it, paint it, paint it, paint it, paint it. Normally you go to the floor, but not today, right? Paint it off until it almost has nothing.
Right.
And then you come along and you paint on the tape.
Right.
And then you let the brushes just kind of lay over, and it can give you a shadow like that. And
You don't want it to be solid.
don't want it to be solid. Don't want it to be constant. Just like that, all the way down. Okay, you need down this side, I think.
Yeah.
All right, and we're going to go down, 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 somewhere around here. Nice and parallel. Hit it. That is not parallel. Up. Down again. Sweet. That's probably good. Let's measure that and just see how good our eye was. Put this in, tack it in, and we'll squirt a little bit. All right. Yeah, it's straight on this side. It's nearby, I know that. I think it's right back there. Wrong side.
Wrong side?
Yeah. I'll stay mostly on the tape. I just would like to see that edge a little bit, I think. Teeny bit. Okay, and you can peel up the tape. We've test fit this piece a couple times. It's the most, I guess it's the crookedest piece we have. We're going to put some extra screws in it down here to hold it tight to the piece below it. It should pull it nice and straight. We have our crown molding in. I think it's going to look great in the end. I'll start, since this is the corner that we're most concerned about. We have to be right here flush with the end of the rest of the set, or you'll see a little bump. And I think we're good. And I'll put that in right now.
But this is what we use for outdoor signs, signs on windows, backdrops, and hand puppets. I'm using a China marker. It's the same kind of marker that line designers use to mark the gels. All right, the white's done.
You are talented in many ways backstage.
Okay. Although it feels like a roller coaster now, life will calm down backstage.
Bide your time, for success is near backstage.
An hour with friends is worth more than 10 with strangers backstage. You gonna go to breakfast with